Hello, everyone. My name is Shelly Hughes, and I am the founder of Pursuit 365, a community that is in approximately 16 countries now. Throughout the weeks, I love to interview some of our members so that we can get to know them, what they're up to, and what they share with the world. And today, I have the lovely Raya Karin, who's been a member for, I think, just over 2 years now. So, welcome, Raya.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you and get to know you a bit better. Even though we have become friends over the years, and I feel like I know you quite well, but I'm looking forward to getting to know you more. And on that note, I do want to read your bio or to the listeners so they know who you are a little bit before we get started. Through her own journey of self discovery, healing, and training, Raya's private practice, Raya's Wellness, was born. She leads clients through a unique experiential journey. Raya is divinely guided by the elements of nature, her intuition, her love of the unique holistic work she does. Whether it's wandering in the woods, sitting along a lake, or grounding with the earth, or tuning in virtually, Raya invites her clients to walk the journey to wellness. She has uniquely weaved together her 25 years of experience and formal education. She is a certified intuitive guide, life coach, forest therapy guide, to name a few, and she also hosts her own podcast, does custom retreats, and also has become a published author and can't wait to grow that into so much more. Wow, Raya, like that's pretty awesome what you're doing. I mean, nature, helping clients, helping people grow. It's pretty amazing.
It's quite a journey. I would not be on any other journey. This is amazing.
Oh, that's so good. I love that. And like the nature part of it, to me, so many of us forget how important that is. And on
Well,
that
yeah.
note, one of the questions I want to ask you, and these are a little bit long, so I'm going to be reading them, and then with them we'll go from there. But your work blends intuition, nature, and holistic healing. How do you guide clients to reconnect with themselves through these elements, and what transformations have you witnessed?
Wow, that's there's a lot that goes with that. I really invite people into. We use the seasons of nature. So we've got our winter and spring, summer, fall, and we all have our seasons as well. And then we have the elements of nature. So inviting people away from their busy lives, their, the chaos, the expectations, all of that, into a space that is very grounded, very quiet and soft and gentle, to remember how to be. We forget even to breathe during the day because we're just got so many things on the go, and everything is just, there's a lot of busyness. So that is, and if you tune into nature, you are in the forest or the fields or wherever you are in nature, you can feel yourself very quickly as you're breathing and as you're spending time. Your nervous system really starts to come down, and it's so simple. It's less than 10 minutes. You can wander the woods or wander a path with somebody, and you can see their whole demeanor and their nervous system and their self-regulation comes in again. And it's very, very beautiful. I've worked with people with anxiety and depression, PTSD, traumas, grief, loss, a lot of neglect and abuse, like really the big T traumas and the little T, so all kinds of things. And spending time in nature, it's, we say Mother Nature, so nature really has us in its embrace, no matter the season. And helping people to grounding is a huge thing. Kicking off your shoes and wandering bare feet, it really connects us back also, and works with our nervous system. The transformation that I've seen with people coming to, whether one-on-one or to my retreats, is sometimes indescribable, because you arrive as one person and you leave as somebody completely different. And I've had people heal incredible things very, very quickly. And it's just, it's sometimes it is hard to describe that, but I think there's a safety in, sitting by the edge of a lake, wandering a trail, leaning up against a tree, laying on the ground, picking wildflowers, whatever it is. We really go on a sensory journey, which also brings people back in, feeling the wind, feeling the sun, feeling the rain, playing with the snow, feeling the earth with our hands and with our feet, breathing with the fresh air too, just getting that breath in and slowing that down. And with the forest therapy, I mean, you're out there, you're with the trees, you're in the forest. So you're feeling that we come from nature, so we're super connected to it. But as a species, we've become very disconnected in our lives, So it's it's a reconnection, and it happens really, really naturally for people. And it's, like I said, it's an experience that is hard to put words to, but it is incredible to witness. So walking the journey beside my clients as they witness themselves having this beautiful transformation is such an honor.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you said it's all different walks of life, different people, just everyone's different. So you could have a corporate client, but then you could have maybe even a stay-at-home mom. So or even stay-at-home dad. I'm not going to just use moms, but so your clients are all different.
Yes, and I've worked with all ages as well. So I started, a lot of my work was with youth and a lot of the neurodiversities as well. So autism and all forms of autism, and a lot of the learning issues too, the learning different abilities, I call them. So you've got all your ADHDs, your dyslexias, all that kind of stuff. And then you've got your very high risk youth and young adults I've worked with as well. And it's amazing with nature and animals what healing happens outside of four walls. Take us out of where we feel confined and restricted and get us outside and into nature. Same with anyone, that's burnt out and is absolutely, their nervous system is done. They're burnt out. They can't even function. They can't, deal with life anymore because their corporate life has been so busy. It's amazing to see them just be able to reconnect again and just land. Like, that's what people do. They land in my space, and I hold a beautiful sacred container for that, no matter who they are.
So, okay, you've got 25 years of, experience in wellness and healing. So what pivotal moment or lesson in your journey has had the biggest impact on how you support others? So it's one thing to say that you can help others. But again, I'm one of those people that believe that if you've gone through things, you have a better understanding of what others are going through. So, I mean, like, if I've never cut my finger, I don't know what it feels like.
Yeah.
So with your 25 years, what about like your pivotal moments?
Oh, there's a few for sure. One of the big ones for me is struggling with PTSD and anxiety, depression, some traumas and grief and loss, very deep grief and loss. And, not being seen or heard was really hard through those pieces. I did a lot of it alone. And I was also taught to do it alone, and learned that, instead of asking for help, I went internal. I also then naturally, as I was born into, a farm and animals, nature, all of that was my safe place. So I came back full circle to what my safe place really was. And, it's interesting when you can't understand somebody's journey per se if they've gone through grief, but you understand what grief is and what it is to you, so you can hold an empathetic and understanding space for someone to have their experience. You do get it, but on, a level that you've been through it. But then you can also, when you're really hearing people's story, really listening and really just intuitively being there. And I am guided very deeply by my intuition on how to help people with that. And, stepping away from a lot of judgment, which goes into, a lot of those pieces in our lives, going through a really harsh two pregnancies and births that were really traumatic for me, going through some really ups and downs with hormones and all kinds of, health things. I realize that healing is just so much more. It's, getting outside of what we have created to be a very institutional setting, which there's nothing wrong with it. But I could see when I would take my clients outdoors and we would do things, we would reconnect back to that inner child and back to all those pieces. That's what was missing. And it was missing in me too. So working for all these different agencies as in contractor, being guided only by so much, and everybody was a statistic and a number. I was like, I can't do this anymore. We need to reconnect, and the healing is so different when you take all of those restrictions away and allow the person to be who they're meant to be. And so as I did that, I was also doing that. So it's been quite a journey that I get to walk a little bit ahead of my clients, and they're coming kind of up behind me a bit in their experience. So
is there a moment, is there a powerful moment from your outdoor sessions, like a specific one that you can recall that was just powerful? Can you think of one?
There was one that's just popping into me right now. I had this beautiful, amazing youth, and we were in this beautiful forest. Like, these trees were 200-300 years old. And I knew she came to me with really extreme traumas, abuse, neglect. She had to leave her home because it wasn't safe. And we were walking through this beautiful trail, and we got to these trees, and I just said, let's choose. If there's something calling out to you, where you want to sit, which tree you would like to go to. I mean, they were huge. Like, you'd need 3 or 4 of us just to hug the tree. Wow. And I watched her take that invitation and kind of step up ahead of me and choose this tree. And I have a picture of her actually hugging this tree, sobbing, and just sobbing and sobbing, like this tree understood her. It saw her. And I didn't say anything. I just held space for her energetically and just let her have her moment of release. And she was very, very connected to nature as well, and connected to all kinds of, intuitive things. But just to allow that tree allowed her to let her barrier down, feel the incredible pain. And I had, just holding, like I say, holding that space, like a loving mom and a big embrace. Like, that's what I was doing from a distance. And just seeing her do that, it was probably 20 minutes. And then she just sat on the ground afterwards, and she kept crying, and she just kept sobbing, but she felt so seen and heard and supported, and it was amazing. Her life pivoted after we were out there for probably 90 minutes, and just her entire life pivoted after this. It was amazing. And the traumas they're big. They were big, big T traumas. So, it's, sometimes we just need to be held. We don't need to talk it out. We don't need to rehash it. We just need to be in a space where we feel so safe, and our nervous system can do the work it needs to do. And that's why I lean into animals and nature.
Beautiful. I know we always love to be around the animals.
Yeah.
People forget about nature. I don't know if we hear about animals too much, but I think people forget just how healing nature is. And
it is.
But yeah, no, I've got, right here, I've got my little chihuahua beside me, and my cat's there. So
yeah,
animals and nature.
They know what we need.
They really do.
They do.
They really do.
Yeah.
Okay, so on another note, you've stepped into the world of podcasting and authorship. So you've been writing. You've got a podcast. What inspired you to expand your work outside of the the usual ways that you've been doing for the last 25 years?
I think I've always wanted to share. I never thought I could write. I always wanted to. I'm very dyslexic, so I was very, well, no, I can't do that. Like, how would I do that? How can I share my story? And I love to, one day I just decided that if I wasn't going to write, maybe I could speak, and I could have people on, and I could interview people and get to know, and I love to get to know people. And that was a way that I could share also my own knowledge in the spoken way, and then also have other guests on so people could learn that way. Some people are audio learners, and they love to listen while they're driving or doing things, and they'll learn these tips and tricks and tools. I do it myself. I love it. And so I just felt like that was a really natural way for me to share space and to share the work I do, the healing, and bringing, different things to the world of wellness. And the writing, I just had opportunities show up and I said yes, even though I was scared to death. And I feel like I know there's more in there. And I think like I realize that anything is possible and we all can do it. And having the right environment and the right people and supportive communities is so key. And we all have unique stories. We're all very unique individuals and we have something to share with the world, and it will help someone along the way,
100%. Yeah. And the good thing about, of course, my community, we have our co-author books. But part of the reason why I love them is that sometimes people, like what you just said, they're really afraid to either A, become an author, or B, share too much of what they've been, their story.
Yeah.
But with something, not too big, and you're a co-author, you can get into a little bit of being an author, and you can do a little bit of writing and just tip your toe in and see how it feels. So I love it.
Yeah.
And I just find writing is so healing. Sharing your story is so healing, and you're helping others doing, in their lives as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I invite people to journal. It's kind of the same thing. Like you said, it's very healing to write. And whether it's poetry or it's, sharing their business story or their life journey, things like that. We don't know who it's going to touch and we don't know who it's going to help. First, it's us, but then it's also going to radiate out. And that's the same with, podcasting and all those things. It's just a tool for the journey. And
what's your podcast name?
It's all Raya's Wellness. Everything I have is Raya's Wellness.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Just so that our, listeners can look you up and listen.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned, so you were obviously in the Pursuit 365, 2 of our books, and you'll be in the poetry one coming up, speaking of poetry. But you were in a book, you were in a co-author book before us. What was the name of that book? And let's hear a little bit about that.
That was kind of where I got my toes wet the first time. It's called She Grieves, and it was this beautiful community of women from all around and all walks of life, all ethnic backgrounds, everything, that have experienced all kinds of loss. So whether it was, a partner, parent, or parents, siblings, and all kinds of like suicide, illness, cancer, murders. There were some really big things that went on in there. So it was this beautiful community. We came together, we all shared our stories, knowing that the intention for that was that grief is not an easy journey. It's a really tough journey, and you often feel very alone. And that, it doesn't just end with the stages of grief. It's a lifelong journey. It's all that love that you have that you now can't give that physical person or persons. It is now, it's so much love and it's got nowhere to go. So what do we do with that? How do we, and this is, we keep going through the grief stages over and over, probably for the rest of our lives until we're not here. So how do we help people know it's normal to grieve and know it's normal to not have an end of grief, or, all the in-betweens, the messiness, the beautifulness, all the things. And so that was kind of our mission, was to put this together so that we could help people anywhere in the world that were sitting there feeling so alone and dark and scared and angry, all the things. We teaching forgiveness. We all had our inspirational pieces we shared. A quote or a piece that might help somebody. So, it's like giving somebody a journal and a pen so that they could share their things. We're giving them a book that can maybe that story will help. Maybe somebody's story in there would help them. And
so, I find it's twofold. It's personal growth, a personal healing, but then you're also helping others.
Yeah.
Like a pay it forward, but then you're also you're helping yourself at the same time.
Yeah. It was huge. I didn't realize, and it had been 25 years since my partner was killed by the drunk driver, and I had thought I'd done pretty well in the healing, but this book uncovered the last layers of the pieces of things that I had kind of not realized I tucked aside. So this community allowed me to bring that to the surface and to share that piece. And there were pieces that I had forgotten about, but in writing, it brings up these things that we are now ready to share and to put out into the world in our most vulnerable way. But it's a very beautiful journey. And I think writing brings those pieces of vulnerability out in us, and that real authentic, deep journey. And it's a reconnection too to some of your deepest parts. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So this book, where if someone wanted to get it, and they want to read your story or read the other stories that are in it, where can they pick it up? Do you have it on your website? Is it Amazon? Where can they get it?
Both. Yes, I have it on my website. It'll give you a direct link on there, and you can go to Amazon and look up She Grieves as well, and you'll have it there. So
Excellent. Do they have with a digital, I guess what's it called, voiceover? Like
I don't think they do have the Audible.
Audible, that's what it's called.
I don't think they do at this point, but
I know we haven't done it yet,
yeah.
but I thought, that might be fun to do.
I don't think they have it on Audible yet, but either way, there's something about holding that book in your hands and sitting down with a cup of tea and just allowing yourselves to read a story when you need it.
Absolutely.
And it's important.
Definitely. So on that note, many people do actually feel really stuck in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're stuck. We don't know how to move forward. We don't know what to do. If someone is just starting their healing journey, what would be the first step that you would recommend to help them awaken their inner peace, inner guidance, to grow? What would be the first step that you would suggest? Other than going to your retreats and coming to see you, because that's a big thing. If you're afraid to go on your own, like if you're stuck, going to a retreat, going and having private sessions with you or a counselor, or obviously to me that would be one of the first steps. But let's just say they can't get to you. So what would you suggest?
And that's what I love about being able to be virtual is that, you can, come across somebody and you really resonate with what they have to offer. And I think that is another underlying piece of why the podcast, because you can get to know somebody there. If they've got, a blog, you can get to know them there and understand. So kind of behind the scenes of you feeling like you need, or you want this, you want more, you want something else, you want something different, you want that holistic lens, is really get to, if you land across my stuff, I offer discovery calls, which most of us do in this field of helping, really, and that's complimentary to people so they can say, I want to meet this person and, are they safe? Do I feel safe? Do I feel seen or heard, or is their energy right? Ask the questions. Everybody has that for a very specific reason, because you want to make sure that you're a really good fit with someone, and it is scary, so scary to be vulnerable and to ask for help and to reach out, but it'll be the best gift you can ever give yourself. And, because you are worth it and you are worthy of having that space that is safe and sacred and beautiful for your story to be heard and for your feelings to be validated and your experiences to be understood. Absolutely. So, you don't have to take a huge leap into a big space if that's too much for you. But, even if you decided you wanted retreat, it's also a very safe and sacred space. And we work with everybody kind of leading up to the big event too. So we don't just go here, sign up, jump in. I work with people a little bit beforehand if they want that, to make them, to allow them to feel more comfortable and safe. And, because if they're really feeling pulled to that, but they're, most people are scared, and that's okay.
It is okay.
It is, I still am. I'm just about 50 and I still get scared. So it's a life. We all do, right? So, but we show up anyway. We show up anyway for ourselves. And I think, if you can give yourself the gift of that, it's a gift that keeps on giving, and it's a transformation that will continue to happen for life. And so, that honor of creating that space, whether it's a quick phone call, it's a one-to-one session, it's a retreat, it doesn't matter. My vision is just that really safe, nurturing, loving space.
And you've got that energy about you as well. Like you've got a very safe you're very safe. I love that.
Thank you.
I feel people's energy is pretty good, and
Yeah.
yeah, yours is very nice.
Thank you.
Now tell me, I do want to know about the retreats. Tell me how, like, are they, do you have all different, do you have like a 2-day and a 5-day? And take me on a typical, we've signed up.
Yeah.
Take me on a typical day at one of your retreats.
Oh my. Well, so I do a lot of that intuitively. I kind of set up a container. I carefully choose venues in each season. And same with facilitators that come in. They're really aligned with kind of my vision, and we all work together to set up that beautiful, nurturing, welcoming space for people. So we've just had a beautiful one actually in winter. And so this beautiful, I've got Justina who works with me, and she's amazing in the kitchen. So she works with our food, nourishing us. So she's there with her amazing energy and preparing these really intuitively guided, nourishing foods for us to support us, because healing, we need to also heal our bodies and nourish them with really amazing foods. And setting up the atmosphere is really huge. We have winter, so it's shorter days. We had lots of candlelight. We had a beautiful fireplace. So we had a lot of lower lighting, soft lighting, lots of nourishing teas and beautiful things to kind of start and end our day. We had horses involved in this one. It was beautiful. So if there's, each one is got a different type of nature. So we're either oceanfront or we're nestled in the woods by a creek. We have horses with us. We have a beautiful sound healer that comes in. And he has a way of holding space like I have never met. He's a very safe and very intuitively guided healer as well, and he brings his gifts. So you can imagine it's almost like we're all kind of linking arms and holding everybody so safe on the inside. We've done yoga. I just had a beautiful friend of mine, Cindy, who came in. She's got a really beautiful background, so she understands the therapy background and creating that safe space. And so just really welcoming everybody for exactly how they show up when they walk through the door, whether they're nervous or they're scared or they're, they don't want to share. You just be you. And really, I do put together a schedule, but I love to take that schedule away and allow us to move through it very organically and very intuitively, because it does depend on, how everybody arrives.
Yeah.
And you don't want to, we're all going away from busy lives, the scheduled lives and to-do lists and like chaos and busy, and we're burnt out. The last thing we need is to be able to go da 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 da, right? So if we're learning to be and getting in touch with that playfulness and that inner child, I create that. So let's kick off our shoes and have some fun and just really, getting people in to that space. I've walked barefoot and cold dipped in the ocean with people, and just we've done intuitive art and playful movement and dance and being silly and getting all of those, just getting the energy moving differently. So each one is very different too. So, and then usually I always say that as people sign up for retreat, usually the first few people who sign up actually really build that container. So whoever it is that's coming in is really setting the intention and setting that energy space for it. And it's beautiful. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to take people through an exact thing, except for it is like to witness people arrive and to land and to feel safe and welcome and loved for exactly how they show up, whether they're showing up totally discombobulated or, they're nervous. It doesn't last long. And
You had me at candles and cozy fireplace.
Right? You should have the witnessing these women sitting there. I'm like, quiet mornings, no talking, no phone, the crackling fireplace, the tea, like they were curling up in blankets and falling back asleep. I'm like, perfect, because we need that, right? But permission to do that.
Yeah,
and
no,
so
for sure. The permission
it's
to be
huge.
allowed to.
Yes, and we don't allow ourselves. I always say my retreats are a vacation with a purpose. Well, and they are, because you are allowing yourself to go on a vacation, but there is a bigger purpose within that space. Sound healing is incredible. My guided nature sessions where we're, really tuning into our senses in nature. We had the horse sessions where we were with the herd of horses and being intuitively guided there. Like I said, with the foods, the textures, the flavors, the colors, the everything about it. And watching people doing their creative art in quiet with candlelight. Like, it was mind blowing how I am mind blown every time because it's always a different group of people, but it's magic to watch people kind of unfold.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Well, Raya, you know what? I am going to be putting in the link below your full-on bio so they can know more and more about you. I'm also going to put in your website so they can check out, what retreats you have going on and if you're doing any writing there as well. They've got a blog on there. And then I'm also going to add the podcast so people can tune in to your podcast.
Yeah.
Because I know you're going to have lots of great guests and a lot to share to help people in their healing journey. And for those that are maybe through they're past their healing, they're on their next stage, you're still going to have some great, beautiful, wonderful energy to put into their lives.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing what you do today and sharing your gift to the world. It really is beautiful.
Thank you for having me. It's been such a blessing. And I always look forward to our conversations because I don't know, just lights me up. I love to share the journey and welcome everyone into the journey of life. It's amazing. So
good. So good. All right. Thank you. And we will stay in touch.
Sounds amazing.
Thank you.